G'day. So I'm here today with Christian Porter, Minister for Social Services. Christian, in my area, in the last 2 years, incidents of people taking ice has gone from 38 to 947 incidences in 1 year. You guys have introduced some changes around how people on welfare will be looked after if they present with drugs. Can you just run us through some of those changes?
And I must say, sadly, you're not alone there. I mean, there's a very detailed report done by the CSIRO that shows that in some places in Australia there are 78 doses per day per 1,000 people. So some places 1 in 13 Australians are taking daily doses of ice. You don't have to be a behavioural scientist to know that destroys communities, it destroys individual lives, it completely wrecks people's chances of getting a job. We're going to conduct a trial of drug testing new welfare recipients, the idea being that we want to try and drive behavioural change. So if you tested positive on a first occasion to a drug like ice, you'd go on an income management regime with a cashless debit card, so that you're obviously going to be limited in the amount of cash that you can expend on that terrible habit. If you test positive a second time, we will design for you, in consultation with one of our medical professionals, a treatment program, and the expectation is that you will have to abide by that treatment program to keep receiving your welfare payments. So we're trying to identify people with a problem and give them every assistance to overcome that problem, get into employment and stabilise their life.
So some people might say that this will lead to higher crime rates because people will then be forced into criminal activity to support their addiction. I mean, what are we doing to sort of avert that from happening?
Well, look, I don't think that that will happen. I don't think it's a good argument to simply not try something new and try and deal with this problem. So a person who might end up on a cashless debit card because they've tested positive, they still get a proportion of their welfare payment in cash. But what we want to try and do is ensure that people aren't expending large amounts of cash, courtesy of the taxpayer, on a habit that means that they'll end up unemployed for very long periods of time. So we're trying something to try and break that cycle of dependence and try and have people transition into employment.
Well, I guess the other thing to remember is this is a trial. It's not, you're trialling to see what happens, and if it doesn't work, we'll try something else, I guess.
Sure, and it's part of a suite of measures. So people have been able, up until this point, to use as an excuse for not turning up to a job interview the fact that they'd taken drugs.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, most people wouldn't realise that, but we are going to redraft that so that the excuse can be that you have a problem with drugs or alcohol, but you only get the excuse if you are also taking steps to address those problems. So it's about identifying people with an issue, devising a plan of treatment, and getting them to stick to that plan of treatment.
So, and it's true that this is actually going to cost more money, not less. This is about saving lives, not saving money.
This is not a savings measure. I mean, we expect in due course that having a better compliance system, a simpler system, more mutual obligations, and getting on top of problems like drug consumption will mean that we'll move people into employment more often and faster. But in the meantime, it costs us millions of dollars, $47 million, to get people more actively looking for work, because we help them with that job search. And of course, a drug testing trial will cost us money. We're investing $260 million in preparing young mums, young parents for work. So this is about helping people. It is about ensuring that people get the best possible form of welfare, which is a job.
Right, so good outcomes for people is also good outcomes for the bottom line, but it's primarily about the people where we're starting.
Individual lives are improved when people move off welfare and get a job. And that's what we're hoping to achieve.
Thank you very much.
Good day, mate.